when we turn it on, we are epic. And I think my plea to everybody at home is turn it on. Basically, come down, we've got 2 weeks.
Hello and welcome to the Lib Dem Podcast, where we are live at the Chesham HQ as part of the Amersham and Chesham by-election. And for the first time ever, me and Laura are actually meeting each other. This is very exciting. So my name is John Potter. I'm a councillor up in Preston and also a party coordinator. Laura?
So I'm Laura Gordon. I stood last time in Sheffield Hallam, and I've been chatting with John on the podcast for the last year, so it's great to finally meet in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Although neither of us can drink yet, which is very frustrating. And with us
next time
is the Deputy Campaign Manager for this by-election. This is Bridges-Westcott.
Yes.
So welcome to the podcast, Alice.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and so we are, as you probably noticed, we have got lots of stuff going on because this HQ is actually live and the battle is happening right away. So there will be people coming in and out and chatting, getting leaflets, getting canvassing bundles, out of which you should be doing that as well. And we'll talk more about that coming up. But we also want to say thank you to everyone who's signed up to our Patreon account. Even in the first week, we've been really appreciate people that have put their hand in the pocket to give us a little bit of money to help grow the show and actually help the podcast keep going. So really big thanks to all you guys that have actually signed up. Right, over to this episode though. How's it going?
It's going well. A lot of our canvas data is showing that actually we can win this, and we absolutely can. And we're winning votes from all parties. The squeeze vote in particular seems really, really squishy, and they're open to lending us their vote because they just want to get the Tories out. But bluntly, we need more people, which is probably an obvious plug, but we desperately need more people. We've got 2 weeks to go today, and we need more people coming through the doors. We need to do a full sweep of the constituency this weekend. We need to deliver tons of literature this weekend because I think the vote is quite squishy everywhere. It's all quite soft everywhere, and it's our job to harden it up in our favour. And we will only do that by knocking on tons and tons of doors and delivering tons and tons of literature. As we all know from all the other by-elections that we fight and all of the other local elections and general elections, we need to kind of mount that size campaign here, and we need more people.
And I suppose if someone can't make it, I mean, I travelled 4 hours to get
You
here.
did?
Laura, you've probably done 3.5 hours or
Well,
something like that?
I'm staying with my in-laws in Woking, so I actually drove for an hour past Chesham and then back up again. So I've lost count of how many hours it was, but it was lots.
But if you can't get here, there's always stuff you can do. Obviously, if you have money, you can donate.
Yeah.
All pennies are useful at this point in the
Always,
campaign. But also get on the phones. There's thousands to be getting through, and obviously we do that right the way through to polling day, right the way to the end of the day, because
absolutely.
It looks like, well, I mean, I've been here for 3 days now, and I've done 4 or 5 canvas sessions.
Yeah.
And you're right, it is very winnable, this seat. You go out there, I mean, Laura, you've been out about an hour ago.
Yeah. I think it's the best canvassing I've had, certainly since the European elections in 2019, where it was just canvassing was a dream and you were opening doors and everyone was voting Lib Dem. And it's been like that. I just got back from a canvassing session where I think basically everyone I spoke to, apart from 2 people, were either voting for us already or were willing to consider it. And some of the things that I was getting back, I had people saying things like, well, I've always voted Conservative, but I'm fed up being taken for granted. No one's ever asked me for my vote before. I even had some people who said that they'd never voted in their entire life, but they were going to vote for us because nobody had bothered asking them for their vote before, which, on one level it's pretty depressing that, we have these safe seats where people are taken for granted like this. But it does just show that actually, when we get out there and we make that effort and we show what having a Lib Dem MP can do, that local connection, that local work that people can rely on when they have a Lib Dem MP, people like that and they are willing to consider it. But I think, I completely agree, like we need to do even more. I think probably the only thing I was picking up that was a little bit of cause for concern was people just not quite believing it, and especially those squeeze voters. Your Labour and your Greens, they're like, it's just this kind of like, oh well, I would consider voting for you, if I thought it would make a difference, and I'm just not sure, I normally vote Green to make a point, should I keep doing that? And saying actually, if I thought you could win, I would do it, but actually we just need that volume of campaign to show them that we really can win.
It is about scale, isn't it? It's about showing, we know that the kind of visual element of a campaign is the thing that really, really matters on top of all the other clever stuff we're doing. And, seeing hundreds of Liberal Democrats on your street goes, oh, hang on a second, they're around, they're here, they're fighting. The same with state boards, seeing all of the state boards going, oh, hang on a second, they're the only ones with state boards.
State board across the whole constituency.
You saw one green one.
You saw one green, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's really important because with the way national politics is going, the shifts in party dynamics are quite massive. And what I've spotted is it's been very easy to get almost Tories to come across because this area has been nothing but blue for so long. The county council, if you only have to go 2 seconds down any road to see a massive ugly pothole, and people don't know what they're getting from their Conservatives here. Tied into the fact that HS2 has annoyed a lot of Conservatives as well, there's a real chance for us to squeeze that Conservative vote over to us.
And it is funny about those potholes, I must admit, when I sort of first got here, there was
apologies for mentioning potholes again.
I love a pothole. But I did kind of go, is it us kind of really hamming something up? But having now driven around the constituency a lot,
it is,
there are potholes bigger than the car that I'm driving, and it's just awful.
And in rural roads like this, I mean, you kind of, you get the impression, potholes, it's just a bunch of city slickers. But I grew up in a rural area like this. Yeah. If you have a pothole, that if your car goes in, your wheel comes off.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
some of these, and you've got no room to get past because you and a van are trying to get past these small roads. Yeah. It is a serious issue for a lot of people. Yeah. And actually, it's just about value for money as well. They've had Tories at the county level. They've had Tory MPs. What are they getting for their money?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the public transport as well. Actually, that was something that people were talking about today. It's just that the buses. So basically, talking about HS2, and they were just saying, well, actually, what I really want is a better bus service, and actually not just the kind of in and out of London. And it's that classic thing, we have these public transport systems that are very good at getting you in and out of London. But she was saying like her son had to turn down all these jobs because he couldn't get to them because there isn't a bus to take you sort of 5 miles down the road, kind of thing. Yeah.
So, it might be worth just talking to you about the kind of geography of this area because everyone thinks, it's the commuter belt, and you think, it's lovely, it's rich people just on the end of the Metropolitan line out of London or something like that. But actually, geographically, it's a fairly large-ish constituency. It's no Brecon or Radnorshire.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not.
It took 2 hours and I still was in the constituency there in Brecon and Radnorshire when I left. But it is, there's a lot of areas, lots of little villages. So that's why, again, volunteers are really important because actually you can drive for a bit and you're stuck in a village. And whereas if you're in a built-up area, you could knock out 200 leaflets very easily, while it takes longer in constituencies
there are some
like
rounds
this.
that are quite sparse, and we've got to send 2 or 3 people there in order to get them done. Whereas if we were in, certainly my seats in South West London, we would be able to just knock them out of the park really quickly because they're all pretty much terrace houses. But we don't have that here, and I think it's a big-ish constituency in the sense that there's 2 obviously main towns of Chesham and Amersham. You can get from Chesham and Amersham sort of out in about half an hour to most places, 20 minutes, half an hour in most places. So it's a good size, but it's also a manageable size, if that makes sense. So people coming down actually they don't have to drive hours to get somewhere. It's about sort of 25 minutes.
And actually, we have done an episode about this. Me and Laura did an episode about the constituencies. We should give probably a bit of background about why this by-election has come to place. So do you want to talk about that, Laura?
Yeah, so it was the death of Cheryl Gillan MP, who was the representative for this area for quite a long time. It's sort of certainly more than a decade, 15 years or something, I think. But very popular local figure. I've had, again, on Doors Today, people were talking about how she had been a good representative.
She was a constituency MP.
She was, people liked her, but, that doesn't mean, voting is always about the future. It's not about the past. So it's, who do we want now? Yeah. And, we haven't been seeing the campaign from the Conservatives. And I've been really struck by that, not just the state boards and the lack of visibility, but, people saying that they haven't heard from them.
It's like they've kind of forgotten about it. It's like they're worried about battling spend. They're not really worried about it. And what is quite interesting about this area is this is the area, I think, where I think a lot of those soft Conservative voters are feeling quite disillusioned with the Conservative Party. Absolutely. It's not necessarily about the kind of Conservative Party people so much. It's more about the general direction that the Tories are going in, and that is far more to the right. Yeah. And they don't like it. They don't. It's not for them.
Actually, somebody did say. I had just this amazing canvassing session today, and I'm like totally on a high from it. But no, I did literally have somebody saying, the Conservative Party used to be for people like me, and now I don't feel that it is.
And actually, a lady yesterday I canvassed. Down in, I can't remember what that village was, right at the bottom of the constituency.
Charles St Peter.
That's the one. It was a lovely little.
I knew where I sent you.
Yeah, it was a lovely kind of chocolate box village, and she just came up to me and said, "What the former MP Cheryl was like. Said the modern Tory party doesn't represent what she was.
Yeah.
You know, she was a hard-working local MP. Where are the Tories gone from those kind of people? Where it's not about that. It's people like Gavin Williamson who are still in post and things like that, and they don't. And this sort of area just doesn't.
It's very Trump-esque, isn't it? It's very.
It is.
You know, they've kind of filling their top table with very kind of big, brash personalities that just, I don't think if you're an ordinary person in a local constituency who wants buses and wants potholes, they don't really seem to worry about that, you know.
Hello, John from the Lib Dem Podcast here. We are delighted to say that this episode is sponsored by Pray to Reigns. Now more than ever, you need a professional-looking online presence and website. Pray to Reigns have been helping Liberal Democrat campaigns succeed for 18 years. Their Lib Dem Foci package combines a website, social media and email system to help Lib Dems win. You'll receive great support from real people, fair pricing and a huge range of features to choose from. Pray to Reigns are already the bespoke developers for Lighthouse, Lib Dem Draw Online and the LD Directory. They combine a talented system design with an unrivaled understanding of our party, our data and our systems. To find out more, check out the Pray to Reigns website at praytoreigns.co.uk/liberal-democrats. This podcast has been sponsored by the Katora Coffee Club, the UK's most environmentally friendly coffee club. There are over 400 independent roasters in the UK, each one crafting coffee in their own unique style. Katora Coffee Club works with some of the best to take you on a voyage of coffee discovery. The Katora Coffee Club delivers ethically sourced and independently roast coffee directly to your door. Each month you'll receive between 2 and 4 bags of coffee and their monthly extract magazine. Even better for Lib Dem podcast listeners, use the code BETTERCOFFEE to save 5% on subscriptions and gift boxes for a limited time only. All Katora Coffee Club boxes are carbon negative and offset the CO2. So why not do some good, enjoy some great coffee and check out the website www.katoracoffeeclub.com. Now, back to the podcast.
This realignment of politics that we're seeing, isn't it? And I think this is why this by-election is so important. I mean, obviously Sarah's fantastic and it would be great to get her elected.
We should actually mention the candidates as well.
Yeah, necessity. You know, it has that kind of bigger sort of political importance as well, I think, because we had, you know, the Hartlepool by-election, which was sort of all about the, you know, red wall crumbling. We had the local election, same day had the local elections, where we did see this kind of big realignment of the vote, where we're starting to see these moves against the Conservatives in areas like this, but which wasn't really picked up by the press in the same way as the Hartlepool by-election was. And you know, we did our post-election episode where we were saying, well, actually, we're quite positive, but there's a lot of positives that the Lib Dems can take from it, but we got quite a bit of pushback from that by people saying, no, you know, saying that we were clutching at straws and things like that, I think people said. But actually, you know, I don't think that's true. I think there was a lot of positives we can take from it in the moves that we're seeing. But that just hasn't cut through to the national media at all, because Labour decided to self-implode. And, and we have a chance to change that narrative here and show that actually, you know, seats like this are trending Liberal Democrat, and that is a huge opportunity for the party going forward.
And actually, can you imagine almost the perfect scenario if you think it's like Lib Dems win this seat, Labour lose Batley and Spen. Can you imagine what the narrative does to the whole thing of who's challenging the Tories when actually in vast areas of the country, we know this already, we know the data that Labour are nowhere in areas like, in vast areas of the country, they just don't challenge the Tories. The Liberal Democrats are the people that are challenging probably, whether it's Labour in their urban heartlands or Tories in areas like this. And actually, but that's the oomph that we want to get from this election. And maybe it's something like Whitney, where even if we don't get across that line, the impact that had actually on the local elections we've just had, where Liz Leffman is now the leader of the county council, because they kept on.
The knock-on effect of these things is really quite huge. I mean, you know, taking Richmond Park, you know, I'm from South West London, so taking Richmond Park as an example, winning the Richmond Park by-election allowed us to go on to, you know, potentially help retake Twickenham and Kingston. You know, it had a bit of a knock-on effect, but also to take control of the two councils the following couple of years. And it had a knock-on effect of like, actually, we are on the up, we have momentum, we have all this canvas data, we've done all this work, you know. And it really gave us a massive boost. But I want to say about the kind of narrowly losing, having obviously myself lost Richmond Park narrowly in 2017 by 45 votes. That's, I think, the risk of us not getting more people here is we are moving the dial so much, but we do have a short amount of time. You know, it's not, we don't have months lead in like we do perhaps a general election. This is a narrow amount of time. It's a narrow window for us to get ourselves in gear and get ourselves working really hard. And I don't want to wake up on the Friday having lost by 100 votes going, you know this, where we all sit here and we go,
we should have done an extra day.
And this is the thing, like actually coming into this, being completely honest, I would have been totally happy with the Witney start result. Like when this was called, I thought, we'll do a Witney, that'll change the narrative, that's good enough. Having been out on the doors, like I don't think I'll be happy with that anymore.
No.
Like because actually having seen how good it feels and how how much it's moving, actually I think we can win this. And what I really don't want to happen is exactly what you've described, losing narrowly when actually we could have won. But it just needs us all to like really give that heave just to get it over. And I think as well, again, thinking about Witney and Richmond Park, obviously we did lose Richmond Park in the 2017 election by 45 votes, which, sucked. But in Witney, we came third in the 2017 election. So actually the difference, 2017 wasn't a good election for us, but the kind of the difference in terms of having had the MP for that time versus not, in terms of how that allows you to continue to establish your presence and build on it, Obviously, MPs, they vote and make laws and things like that, which are quite useful. But, from a campaigning perspective,
absolutely,
having an MP in place is also very useful.
It's not mutually exclusive as well. You can see, when the Lib Dems did all the stuff in like Oxfordshire and stuff like that, they built up that to then be able to then get the MP. Or you think, and then the other way around, like the Lib Dems in St Albans built up, got the MP, and then I've just taken the council. So these aren't mutually exclusive. The canvassing we've done over these next few days will be there. That's the wonderfulness of Connect, is the fact that that data's not going anywhere. We will know, okay, we've spoken to X amount of thousands of people. We can absolutely target this seat next time round in the local elections or whatever.
And there's secondary things to that. I mean, what we are also trying to make sure that we do is obviously leave a legacy. So, we're recruiting lots of local volunteers who are actually going to stay around when we all go back to our homes and try and win in our home places. We are leaving a legacy of, we've got local volunteers who are now going to be delivering regularly, who are going to be out canvassing regularly because they've been part of the by-election, who might be doing more with social media, etc., etc. And that's also a really good thing, kind of regardless of what happens, but that's a kind of really good thing that we can leave behind with by-elections. And that's what we need to do here as well.
Even from a selfish point of view, as Laura knows, we didn't have a great result in where I represent in Preston. I narrowly kept my seat. I lost two really good colleagues, and it took me a while to get over that. And by-elections, use it as a chance to give yourself a bit of a kick. Be around like-minded people who have the same struggles as you, but are actually, you come together and you just feel your energy boosted by.
Absolutely.
Plus, you can nick leaflet ideas, canvassing tips, the whole work.
Yeah.
I think you said the
It's
most talking thing.
so
You said it's like a
energising.
holiday that you can campaign,
exactly.
which says more about you, I think, than anything else.
Yeah, it's like the best type of holiday. It's the type of holiday where it's almost as good as conference. Like it's a holiday where you get to do politics all the time. What could possibly
Not
be better?
quite as much alcohol, I will flag to anybody.
No, it is like I don't know. I've just found this such a good energy boost though. Like this is the second time I've been, and like it's been, obviously we've been doing a little bit of campaigning when the rules have allowed, but it has been a pretty long 18 months, and it's just been so isolating.
Absolutely.
And like just coming and seeing people and just being part of something again. Like I just feel so much more positive about about the party, and that is about me rather than anything that's going on externally. So no, get on down.
But we are kind of like, I think we forget sometimes that actually, Lib Dems are a bit of a family, really. We all know each other. We all kind of like, whether we interact on social media, I mean, you guys obviously doing your podcast, all that sort of stuff, we do build these relationships. And actually, after a year of not being able to go to conference and not being able to meet up and not being able to kind of pop somewhere and help somebody else in their by-election or whatever, actually, this is a real opportunity for us all to come back together and have a bit of fun after a bit of a shit year, let's face it.
Absolutely.
And actually, there's that element, you're absolutely right, there's that element. It's been so nice just seeing people that I haven't seen and kind of being like, oh, brilliant, right, now go out and canvass. And I'll see you for coffee later or whatever. But it's just been really nice watching people walk through the doors of both offices who you haven't been able to see and interact with, or you've only been able to pick up the phone to them or be on Zoom with them for the last few months, and that's been cool.
And before coronavirus, we should also remember that politics was pretty relentless.
Yeah.
Before coronavirus, we had we had obviously the 2019 general election. Basically, every minute before the 2029 general election, it felt like there was going to be another election. Then we had the Euros, the locals before that. This has been our first chance to kind of, okay, you've had the locals, now there's some real big kind of purpose, drive just to get in. And I feel like we should talk about Sarah.
Absolutely, she's a brilliant candidate.
I had never met her before. She is absolutely brilliant, isn't she? And whenever I see great candidates, and I'm going to ignore Laura because I don't want to give her, because obviously Laura's another absolutely fantastic previous target candidate as well, that you think these are so much better than what is currently being laid up by the Tories and the Labour Party.
Absolutely.
Actually, we have such quality in our party, and we see it, whether it's we get our new intake of MPs like Munira Wilson is absolutely knocking it out the park on her brief. She's doing so well, but we've got to get more of them elected.
Yeah. And we have so many more of those people. And, you're absolutely right. Sarah is just a brilliant candidate. She's wonderful. She's got so many great ideas. She's enthusiastic. She's energetic. You can tell that if she gets into Parliament, she's going to do she's going to make stuff happen.
She's done so many different things with, she's got the campaign experience.
Absolutely.
She's got the kind of more policy side experience. And so, having people, there aren't that many people that really can marry those two. No. That kind of on the ground communication.
Absolutely.
Winning, building up, all of that stuff, but then actually what are we doing it for? And really marrying those two together. And I think she's somebody who really has the potential to do that and be, sort of a leader in the party. Yeah. So
she'll be an asset.
But she doesn't take herself too seriously as well. And sometimes when we look at areas like where I'm from, where we don't have an MP, I mean Tim Farron's the nearest, but it's still basically for most of the north. And
I
the
think
Midlands.
Tim Farron's the nearest to us as well.
Because otherwise then it's Fife or something like that.
I think Daisy is the next closest, but
where we can sometimes be a little bit like one step removed from the MPs and stuff. Actually coming down here and seeing the MPs, the Lords, the party staff all digging in. I mean, I will say Sarah mentioned it when we did a little interview with her about that moment where her and Ed got absolutely drenched. Canvassing, and she was talking about this. She did a before and after photo, and actually the after photo looks wonderful. I thought, wow, you look really good in that photo. It looks really good. The before photo, it's got Ed with a jacket covering him to about there. If I get permission, I'll try and put it on the podcast. But again, it's that she's just a real person. I know it sounds real contrite, but it's like someone that you'd actually fight for. I mean, like I said, we've both come some distance. We've both spent lots of time here now to try and make this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need,
no, this is when you said that she's a nightmare.
I was actually going to say it about you, to be honest. I joke. But no, you are absolutely right. She is a brilliant candidate and she will be such an asset. And I think this is why, just another reason why it's so important for people to come down, because actually, we've kind of got I want to say a golden triangle for want of a better term, but we've got something that will be a massive boost for the party, something that will be a massive boost for the local team, and also a brilliant candidate who will be an absolute asset in Parliament. Yeah. And we just need to make it happen. And I think the thing that we sometimes need to remember as a massive party team is when we get in gear, we do such incredible things. I mean, the things that we pull out of hats, let's face it, the things that the Liberal Democrats can do are just way and beyond what the other parties can do, because we have to be clever, we have to be smart, we have to be innovative, and we have to do things differently, because we don't have the money and we don't have the backing from the trade union, so we have to be a bit, and it's really quite inspiring as a campaigner to watch some fantastic sort of staff, volunteers, people like that coming down and just doing some slightly crazy things, let's face it, and just being like, when we turn it on, we are epic. And I think my plea to everybody at home is turn it on, basically. Come down, we've got 2 weeks, because it's amazing to watch it in action. I mean, it's one of the big things we've been telling, we do a regular kind of organisers call every week, and one of the things we've been chatting through them with is, if you haven't been to a by-election, come to a by-election, because you steal all those brilliant ideas, as you were saying earlier. You have a look at a leaflet, there's leaflets behind us here, the sign leaflets that are really funky, all the things that you do. I remember from Richmond Park, they did a die-cut sign leaflet that was allegedly quite hard to deliver, dare I say. But those sorts of things, you sort of go, do you know what, I can do that in my area, and you learn stuff. I genuinely think I learn a lot of what I do through going to Whitney, Richmond Park, Lewisham East,
And how many people, whether it's a local council by-election, use that as my first big campaign, and I wasn't the candidate, was a by-election where we lost out, I think, by 23. But that was it. That was it. I was hooked.
Get it? Yeah.
And then I've been bloody doing it since.
Well, I was talking actually on the virtual HQ the other day about my first council by-election, and I think the third door I ever knocked on in my entire life was a BNP Liberal Democrat swing voter. Yeah. And I've met a few UKIP Lib Dem swing voters since then, and it's not quite as unusual as I thought it would. But imagine this is the third person whose door I've ever knocked on, and he's like, I'm voting British National Party or Liberal Democrat. So I kind of took a slight deep breath and said,
what you down as?
The BNP don't have a candidate this time around. Liberal Democrat. Okay. Walk away slowly. But no, I mean, I do think back to this one. I mean, I think we probably do need to be quite blunt in that we're not getting the people through.
No, we're not. No.
Like, it is, the canvassing has been a dream. Like, it is incredible. If we don't win this, it's because we haven't got the people through the door. And at the moment we aren't. I think we had a couple of hundred people a day at the weekend, didn't we? And that's just not the level that we need to be at.
Yeah, we need to be. I mean, we've all seen massive campaigns and we've all seen the size of what we need to do.
Well, we saw in Brecon and Random people queuing out the door. And I think what people at home might be realising, and I do think, it's been a rough couple of years. Let's just face that. And in terms of liberalism,
I mean, we've all lost the habit, haven't we, of like going to do things.
And I do know, even within my own party, some people think, the Tories are going to be in power forever. What can we do? And things like that. And I think it's with stuff like that it's so important to punch back, because if we don't, then you might as well just give up.
Yeah, absolutely. If we roll over and just go, if we accept it. And I think we have to understand, the country is going through a crisis at the moment, let's face it, and probably going to be going through a couple of crises, dare I say, with the fallout of Brexit and all that sort of stuff. But there comes an end, Winston Churchill won a war and lost an election. There comes an end to this, and actually we need to be there ready, and we need to be pushing back constantly, because we can, and it feels a struggle, and I think we all feel it feels, and I think we're all knackered from the local elections, and we haven't seen our families. I can't remember the last time I saw my mother, but we've there's something quite I suppose ideological and quite emotional about trying to win this one, because it is our kind of going, no, we've had enough now. We have had enough of this dross now.
He's trying to tempt me with ice cream. Go away, stop it. I do apologise. The podcast, no, so this is a sacrifice you've had to make. He's there with a cornetto behind you. It's very tempting to do a podcast while having a fab, but I don't think any of us would do it with any sort of grace.
Actually, though, like, coming back to what you were saying about, if we win this and Labour lose Batley and Spen, actually, I'd go the other way. Like, if we win this and Labour win Batley and Spen, then suddenly this narrative that we've had of, like, Tories are winning everything, you can't stand against them, they're going to be in power for the next million years, we might as well all give up.
That crumbles, that starts to
straight away. And actually, if we win this and Labour hold Batley and Spen, which they've got a decent chance of doing. I don't know the area. I'm hoping to go in the next
it's a bit closer
few weeks.
For
it's
us,
a bit closer to so I don't know the area. I'm looking forward to finding out more about it. But that could totally happen, and it would absolutely change the narrative. And I think it's just a case of whether we as a party, and a party is made up of the tens of thousands of members that we have. So whether we as a party collectively decide to win it, or whether we collectively decide that actually we'd rather stay home. And
it's a difficult
every
choice.
single individual needs to make that decision.
Yeah, and I completely understand. What I would say is that it's all very well me sitting here going, we need more people and all that sort of stuff, and we absolutely do. I completely get why people are struggling to get down. They're tired and they want to see their families and they want to see their friends. But I would say that don't sit there afterwards, and sort of go, oh, well, I thought somebody else was going to go. Because I think other people are waiting for us.
How many Lib Dems, I mean, Twitter is not the real world, but how many Lib Dems are on there complaining, how can this government get away with it? And then don't come
it's
down.
It's down to us.
I mean, and like I said, this isn't a thing as not everyone can afford to come down. There are ways you can help that cost no money.
Phoning.
And or even just going on social media. How about not being so negative and actually retweet the positive stuff that's coming out of Amersham and Chesham and stuff like that. All of this can help in a very minimal sense. But I was telling you, you were talking about Churchill, and I was trying to remember the Churchill quote that it was that you gave me, because you nearly did it, but it was, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. And I
Absolutely, that's it, bang on, isn't it?
You're right.
You did start out a Liberal, I guess. That does sound like a Lib Dem mantra.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It is up to all of us. You know, we're all here. You know, I appreciate I'm paid, so I can't really say anything. But you know, to everybody who's come down already, thank you so much for kind of making that happen. But also, we need more people, and we need those who've come down to come back, because actually, you're absolutely right. It's up to us. It's up to us to push against the government. It's up to us to push against all the stuff that's happening, and actually stand up and go, no, this is shit. Yeah. And it's also up to us to go, we're going to win this, and that's what we need to make a choice of doing.
You know what's really nice, actually? Just walking around some of these villages, canvassing. It is like, oh wow, this is where they live.
This is so cute.
They are beautiful villages, and again, you shouldn't do this, but when you knock on the door and open up and go, that is a nice hallway. That is a really
that's a nice chandelier.
That's a really nice
Honestly,
hallway.
like one of the things that's in Sheffield, a lot of our houses, the letterbox is around the back, and you use the back door. It's like a local quirk, and I like, a lot of people don't like it. I love it because it gives me a chance to scope out people's gardens and get ideas for mine. But no, it like, I know I was joking about that. Well, I was kind of joking about the holiday where you get to do campaigning all the time, but actually, you know, we haven't been able to go anywhere.
No. And it's so sunny.
Nice
it is
to be
so
anywhere
sunny.
else. Like, I love where I live, I do, but being literally anywhere else is amazing.
This guy came in, it was 2 days ago, and he said, I'm down here with the family. They're off going to do a bit of shopping for 2 hours. I've come out and just done a few leaflets. Perfect. Do that. You know, come down here, help the local economy, help a brilliant candidate, and get your Lib Dem buzz on.
And you're right, there are some fantastic places. I mean, I was driving through Chalfont St Giles the other day, dropping somebody home, and I was like, this is so cute. I love this. And there are some really stunning places here. You know, we are in a beautiful part of the world, and actually, you know, you're right, doing that half a day campaigning and then popping out for lunch in a local pub and then coming back and doing another half day campaigning is great.
On behalf of the North, though, we should say Batley and Spen are some lovely areas as well.
I am looking forward. Well, we can. How about John?
On the 18th. From the 18th.
From the 18th.
On the 18th.
Okay, we will do. Let's do this again from Batley and Spen in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because that's like an hour's drive. That's easy. No, but thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Very welcome.
It's been really good, and you know, I've loved it. I've been down here a few days. It's been absolutely great, and thanks to Laura. Hello.
Yes,
I know. This is very exciting.
Like, you're 3D.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Right. But
like, keep waiting for Bosley to walk through the kitchen behind you.
Bosley's my dog. In case you're wondering, but thanks so much for coming on. Do come down here, guys. Do follow everything to do with the Lib Dem podcast as well at Lib Dem Pod. We've got loads of episodes coming. Laura will tell you, we've got so many plans for episodes. At some point, we're going to have to record them, but we've got some, including ones about, you know, a lot of people have talked about what do we do about greens. We've talked about a little bit here, and actually, we're going to have a very interesting discussion with people from Oxfordshire who have worked with greens, and others that think where greens are completely just getting in the way and seem to be just another version of Corbynista politics. So we're going to have that episode along with loads of others. So do subscribe, do like us, do follow us on all our social media, and if you really can, do support us on Patreon, because it really helps us with the show, be able to do stuff like this going forward. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with another episode very soon.